hope everyone is doing fabulous. Today is our continuation on graphing lines. Today we're going to be graphing lines using the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, baby. Yeah, I know that. I just did that. Oh well, you know, I hope you all laughed and chuckled just a little bit. Okay. So we are continuing our work on standard LF3. This one we're going to be doing graphs from equations. So represent linear functions as graphs from equations. We are actually going to be graphing these equations and finding the nope, we're not quite there to pass or finding the equation of a line, but we are going to be graphing the equations. So today's expectation, you are going to be able to determine the slope given an equation. So there's that other piece of the slope. We're going to expect you to convert an equation into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b format, and graph an equation using the slope and intercept. So the success criteria, how are you going to measure your ability to do this? Can you find the slope given an equation and identifying the coefficient with the x? So again, as a reminder, this tells you how you're going to do it. You're going to identify the coefficient. What is the coefficient? It's the number with the x. That is always going to be the slope. You're going to be able to convert an equation from standard form to intercept form by moving the x term to the right. That'll be doing the opposite operation, and then dividing each term by the y coefficient. And then the last piece is going to be graph an equation in slope-intercept form by first plotting the y-intercept and then graphing the slope. Positive is up, negative is down, and always to the right. So you're going to go up or down and always to the right, up or down and always to the right. So, prior knowledge. You have seen y equals mx plus b, and for those of you who are in school, you would have seen it on my shirt yesterday. Yeah, I did. I wore a slope shirt. Okay, anyway, it's my only one. It's funny. It says I can triangle and I can circle, but I cannot y equals mx plus b because that's where I draw the line. Because that's how you draw a line. All right, anyway, need some math sense of humor. You should have your notes page open, by the way, and you should be completing the notes page as you watch the video. So the notes page today should have a blank where it says y value. So please make sure that the first blank is y value, because what does y equals mx plus b mean? That means that for each and every y value on the line, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the x value by the slope, that's the next line, and then you're going to add the y-intercept. So sometimes people just give you a table to fill in and have you graph those points. So let's do that first. So again, the x has been given to you, and here's the table of values. So what you're going to do is substitute the x into the equation. So we have 2 times x, so it's going to be 2 times the x value here is -2, and then minus 2, that's our y-intercept. So 2 times -2 is a -4, minus 2 is -6. And so the y value for -2 is -6. And you're going to do it again. First step is to substitute. 2 times -1 is -2, and -2 minus 2 is a -4. Again, step 1 is to substitute. 2 times 0 is 0, minus 2 is -2, and so when x is 0, y is -2. 2 times 1 is 2 minus 2 equals 0. So when x is 1, y is 0. And 2 times 2 is 4, minus 2 is 2. And so when x is 2, y is 2. And so this is one way of doing it. You could pick 5 points or 3 points, plug them in, and then plot them. So if you have no idea how to do anything, you can do this. You can pick any 3 points, plug them in and plot them. Pick any 3 points, plug them in and plot them, and then connect those with a straight line, and you are able to graph these lines. So this is at -2, -6, -1, -4, 0, -2, 1, 0, and 1, 2. And then please use a straight edge to do this. If you're doing it on the computer, please use the line button because this is a horrible straight line. Okay, make sure you put arrows on either end. That's all you really need to do. So in the equation y equals mx plus b, what is the m and the b? Well, the m is the slope, the rate of change, the speed, the change in y over the change in x, also known as the rise over the run. Make sure you've got all of those written down. The m is the slope, the rate of change, the speed, the change in y over change in x, and the rise over run. The b is the y-intercept. And the number one thing you've got to remember is it always starts on the y. Why? I don't really know. Actually, I do, but that's a really long story for another time. It's where the line begins. So, given these equations, find the slope and the y-intercept. It's super easy. So you should have your notes page, right? And on your notes page, I put some space above each one of these. You're going to simply write y equals mx plus b above each one. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. And then look, oh my goodness, what number is above or in front of the x? Well, my favorite response today was there's a negative, there's a minus. Yes, but how many x's are there? Well, there's one x. Oh, wait, so we could put a 1 here? Yeah, let's put a 1 there because that makes it into a -1. And what number is below the 7 or the b? It is 7. So for this particular equation, the slope is a -1 and the y-intercept is 7. For this equation, the slope is 2 and the y-intercept, it's not 5, it is a -5. The slope is 1/3 and we're going to leave it as a fraction. Remember, we defined slope as an improper fraction, so we're going to leave it as a fraction. And the b is again not 4, but -4. Super easy, right? Oh, Miss Wood, you made it difficult. Yeah, there's things missing. What's missing here? Well, there's 0 x's in this one. Oh, wait. That means I can rewrite that with a 0x. That means the slope is 0 and the y-intercept is 7. Here, there's no y-intercept, so we're going to add a +0. And remember that x isn't by itself. There's a 1 hanging out with it. So what is the slope here? The slope is -1, and the y-intercept is a 0. And again, that x isn't by itself. It's got a 1 hanging out with it. And that now looks like a fraction. So we've got y equals 1/5 x plus 2. So what is the slope? The slope is 1/5. And the intercept is 2. Now before we go on, I want to pause right here and show you how to graph these equations. This is a pretty simple process, finding the slope and the y-intercept. But now graphing with technology is quite another thing. So I don't want anyone, first of all, to get frustrated. I understand technology is a beast. And it can be super, super frustrating for many of us. So if you get frustrated, walk away and come back with your head straight, because getting frustrated doesn't help anybody be successful. I promise. It just becomes a pain in the butt. So if you go to your Canvas page, it is going to be, and you go to modules. Today's lesson is finding slope given the equation and graphing the y equals mx plus b format. It says submit the graphs here. Please click on that button. Submit the graphs here. If you need to hit pause on this video until you've pulled this up, that's a good idea. And you're going to graph these equations from the notes page in class today using this Google Doc. So you're going to click on this Google Doc. And it's going to ask you to, yes, make a copy, and you're going to make a copy. And the one thing I'm going to ask is that you change the name of this copy. Instead of copy of, change it to your first name. Copy of drives me crazy. So we're going to call this wood. Y equals mx plus b, 20 to 20 graphs. Okay. Again, I'd like your first name. I don't want you calling me by my first name, hence the wood. Okay. Now, before you do anything, no, you know what? I'm just going to fix it before you get it. Never mind. If you open this up before you see this graph for some reason doesn't load, I was just going to show you how to fix it, which just simply means you're going to delete it, copy this page, copy this graph, Control C, and then you are going to push it right here and Control V. If you put your cursor anywhere else, it messes up the formatting of everything else. So anyway, we're good now. I'll make sure I fix it on your graphs. So the first thing we're going to do is transfer the slopes and the y-intercepts into this graph, because you're going to get these pages several times throughout the next couple of weeks or next couple of days, practicing how to graph them. So sometimes it'll only be 3 questions that are going to be used. Today it just happens to be a lot because it's the first time and because the other part is pretty easy. So question 1 has the slope being, let me get my notes page and then I can, is -1 and the y-intercept is 7. So slope is -1, y-intercept is 7. Slope is 2, y-intercept is -5, slope is 1/3. Now when you're doing 1/3, one of the other pieces I want to kind of keep you abreast of is how to put it in as a proper fraction. So you're going to do insert, equation. And then right here where it says math operations, that is the button you're going to select with the AB button. Then it's 1, right arrow, 3. If you hit the down arrow, it's going to mess up your life. Yes, I know you could just type it in a different way, but you know what? I need you to get in the habit of using the equation editor. A couple of the other teachers upstairs are using it only. Like that's the only way they can turn in things. Canvas has an equation editor. A lot of things for standardized tests have equation editors. You've just kind of got to like join I'm easing you in by asking you to do this fraction. So 1/3 and -4. Then 0 and 7. Scroll down, -1, 0. And again, because I've already inserted an equation, I can just do new equation. And then math operations, AB. This one's 1/5. Remember, it's right arrow, not the down arrow. And 2. Okay, now how are we going to graph these? So I'm going to ask that you write this at the bottom of your notes page before you finish out the rest of these things. So if you want to do that, that's fine. So step 1 is always going to be start on the y-axis. Start on the y-axis. You're always going to start with the y-intercept. It's where the line begins anyway. So you're going to click on your graph and hit edit. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. So you're going to click this arrow down and click on scribble. We just said we're going to start where the y-axis is, and the y-axis is on the number 7. So here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's 7, and you're just going to scribble. It's okay if it looks like a hot mess. Then the slope is -1. So negative means you're going to go down, and you always go over 1. So down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Okay, so you need to have 3 scribble marks. Now one of the students says, well, I could just use the circle. Yeah, if you want to use the circle, use the circle. I don't care if it scribbles though, so that's all right. Now, instead of clicking here on the scribbles, I want you to click on the select button. I don't need to select it. Okay. Now, we need to draw a straight line. Oh, select line arrow. We're going to draw one of these, and it doesn't matter where we draw it. We're going to modify it first, copy and paste for the rest of the day. So, it's blue right now, so I'm going to change the beginning, the lines start to have an arrow on the end, and I don't like the squared arrow, and I think it needs to be a little bit fatter. Now, if you need to pause this, if you need to rewind it, if whatever you need to do so you get this done, make sure you get this done. Make sure the line is highlighted blue, and then Control C for copy. Now go and click on the select button again, and you should see that there's 2 little blue dots on either end. We're going to move around those blue dots until we get to the point where our line crosses through all 3 of our dots in a row. Once we're done, save and close, and it's there. I can tell that I've scribbled those points in and I have my line. So let's do this again a little bit faster. So click on the graph, click edit. I can see behind me in the gray come on, move over. I should pay attention to it. Slope is 2, y-intercept is -5. Slope is 2, y-intercept is -5. Okay, so our -5 is where we're starting. We go to scribble, -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it is slope is 2. So from this point we go up to 1, 2 over 1. Up to 1, 2 over 1. There's our 3 points. We're going to hit our select button and Control V, paste. There's our arrow, and we're just going to grab the end points. It's super important that we just grab the blue dots on the ends And we move it around until it goes through all 3 of our dots. Come on, get through all 3 of them. Almost there. Almost there. There we go. It's through our dots. Save and close. So, what do you do, Miss Wood, when there's a fraction? Well, we're going to go up 1, but over 3. So, again, we're going to go up 1 over 3, and our intercept is -4. So we select our scribble, go down to -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And from there we go up 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3. Up 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, I don't care what the scribbles look like. Commit or Control V to paste our line. Click our arrow. Grab only the blue corners. Save and close. What happens if you have a slope of 0? Well, you're going to go up and down 0 over 1. Up and down 0 over 1. So again, what happens if you have a slope of 1/5? Up 1 over 5. Up 1 over 5. All right, let's go back to our notes page. So, what happens to these? These should give you pause. You should be like, Miss Wood, those don't look right. Because they're not in the format y equals mx plus b. So these, we have to do the second part, which is to convert them into the correct formula, or to the correct equation. Now, if you look here, it tells you how we're going to do it. So at the top of your notes page, it tells you we're going to move the x term to the right by doing the opposite operation. And then we're going to divide each term by the y coefficient. So this is what we're going to be doing right now. Moving the x term by doing the opposite operation and then dividing each term. So we are going to move the x term to the right by doing the opposite operation. What's the opposite of plus 3x? Well, it's minus 3x. Now remember, the equation is in the format y equals mx. So we're going to put our x term first. So we're going to put our negative 3x. And this 6, is it a positive 6 or a negative 6? It's a positive 6. Then we can tell it's in the format y equals mx plus b. That means our m is -3 and our b is 6. Okay, let's try it again. We're going to move our x term to the right by doing the opposite operation. Sorry about the clicking of my mouse. So we're left with 2y is equal to, again, we put our x term first, -4x plus 8. Now we have to divide each term. So we're going to divide this by 2 by the coefficient of y. The coefficient is the number in front of the y. So we're going to divide this by 2, and we're going to divide this by 2. That leaves us with y equals, well, -4 divided by 2 is a -2x, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. That means our slope is a -2, and our y-intercept is 4. So we do the opposite operation. What's the opposite of -6? Well, the opposite of -6 is +6x. So we have 3y equals 6x plus 12. And then again, the second part is to divide all by the coefficient of y. And the coefficient of y is 3. So we divide by 3, we divide by 3, and we divide by 3. So that leaves us with y equals, now 6 divided by 3 is 2x, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So what is our slope? Y equals m, that is 2. X plus b, that is 4. Okay. Again, minus our x. And remember, that one's going to have a 1 in front of it. So we have 3y equals -x plus 6. And we have a 1 here. And then we get rid of the 3 coefficient by dividing each term. So we have y equals -1/3 x plus 2, and so the slope is a -1/3, and the y-intercept is 2. Add 5x to both sides. We're left with 4y is equal to 5x plus 8. Divide all by 4. That leaves us with y equals 5/4 x plus 2. The slope is 5/4. The b is 2. Again, add our x term to both sides and divide by the coefficient of y. That leaves us with y equals 2/3 x plus 3. So the slope is 2/3, and the b is 3. Okay. What do you have to do now? Is to graph the rest of these. So I've already taught you how to graph them. Remember, you're going to start on the y-axis. You plot the y-intercept. Write these notes at the bottom. So start on the y-axis. You're going to plot the y-intercept. You're going to plot where the line begins, the B. And then from that first point, you're going to go up or down and always to the right. Up or down and always to the right. Up or down and always to the right. So you need to finish typing in the slope and y-intercept for each of these remaining equations, for the last 6. And then you need to graph each of these before you submit it. So how do you submit it, Miss Wood? Go back to your modules, and then here where it says submit the graphs here, make sure you've submitted your notes page and your graphs page. That's 10 points here, 10 points here. Then you do the in-class quiz. Finally, you log into Delta Math and you do graphing lines using y equals mx plus b. Please make sure you've got any missing assignments done and then go and do some test corrections. I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon.